Welcome to day 197. We're in Isaiah 18 through 23. And some really cool things and some foreshadowing of stuff to come. So it talks about different countries during the Old Testament time and about the destruction of some of them. But we already knew that was going to happen. If first time reading the Bible, that's fine. These countries finally get in trouble for what they're doing to Israel, but in reality, what's happening in Isaiah and Jeremiah, it's talking about the coming destruction of Jerusalem. So Israel, you have Israel and Judah. Israel has been taken away. Judah is about to be taken away. So we're kind of in the midst of the exile's already happened, but not everybody's been exiled yet. And eventually all these countries will pay for what they've done. And then the world continues on from there and oppresses Israel for 2,500 years basically. But I don't want to get ahead of myself of what that is. So let's talk about Ethiopia, 18:7. What is important about that? At that time, the Lord of Heaven's armies will receive gifts from this land. Talking about Ethiopia, the land divided by rivers. From this tall, smooth-skinned people who are feared far and wide for their conquest and destruction, they will bring the gifts to Jerusalem, where the Lord of Heaven's armies dwells. We are talking about a time where Ethiopia will follow God. They will be Christians. That's what this is talking about. Egypt, crazy Egypt is going to be another country that does that. So is Assyria that it talks about. 19:3, the Egyptians will lose heart and will confuse their plans, and I will confuse their plans. They will plead with their idols for wisdom and call on spirits, mediums, and those who consult spirits. So your mediums and psychics and spirits, stuff that your list that you have, add that reference to your list. But also understand this is talking about they're going to lose heart. They'll be broken for what they've done and eventually turn their hearts to Christ. Talking about the future, verse 16-ish. In that day, the Egyptians will be as weak as women. Not yet future. This is when they're being broken. They will cower in fear beneath the upraised fist of the Lord of Heaven's armies. Go down in 18, verse 18. In that day, 5 of Egypt's cities will follow the Lord of Heaven's armies. They will even begin to speak Hebrew. And yes, this is happening today. They're beginning to speak Hebrew. So this is kind of one of those things that we're looking at and going, that's prophecy of end time stuff. When is the end? We're not really sure, but now we're starting to see end time, the prophecies in the Bible of end times starting to show their face. And this is one of those things. This is an awesome thing. In that day, there will be an altar to the Lord in the heart of Egypt, and there will be a monument to the Lord at its border. It will be a sign and a witness that the Lord of Heaven's armies is worshipped in the land of Egypt. Verse 24, in that day, Israel will be the third, along with Egypt and Assyria, a blessing in the midst of the earth. So we haven't really gotten fully around to that, but we're starting to see progress in the Middle East. If you are paying attention at all, there is an underground Christian church that's going around, people, not buildings, people. And there's also people that are saying they have dreams of Christ that are Muslim, that they turn from their Islamic religion to Christianity because of what they're seeing in their dreams and their visions. Whether you believe that or not doesn't matter. They're saying these things. And many of them are being put to death for saying it. So I find it hard that they're lying about it. Okay, let's talk about Babylon. Chapter 21, verse 9. Now at last, look, here comes a man on a chariot with a pair of horses. Then the watchman said, Babylon is fallen. Fallen. All the idols of Babylon lie broken on the ground. Revelation 14:8. Then another angel followed him through the sky, shouting, Babylon is fallen. That great city is fallen. Revelation 18:2. Sorry. Babylon is fallen. The great city is fallen. So this description of being fallen twice, we believe that Babylon in the Old Testament was destroyed. But yet we talk about Babylon in the future. Well, there is going to be another Babylon. We truly believe Most people think it's going to be Rome in Italy, the Vatican possibly, where they call the city on 7 hills. That's where Rome is. So Babylon has fallen. It's going to fall a second time in the future. Something to think about. Now, last thing, I'm going to give you a little foreshadowing of something that's going to come. Talking about Tyre, and who cares about Tyre? What's the big deal with Tyre? So in verse 17 of chapter 23, yes, after 70 years, the Lord will revive Tyre. So Tyre's been, the people have been taken away or wiped out or something, but they're going to be allowed to come back, okay? For 70 years, the Lord will revive, after 70 years, the Lord will revive Tyre, but she will be no different than she was before. She will again be a prostitute to all kingdoms around the world. Verse 18, but in the end, her profits will be given to the Lord. Her wealth will not be hoarded, but will provide good food and fine clothing for the Lord's priests. I'm alluding to the 70 years. We will come back to that when we get into more of the prophets. Isaiah's a prophet, Jeremiah's a prophet, Hezekiah. We're going to get into those prophets and come back and talk about the 70 years. So make a note of that, post-it note, and put it in that spot because you're going to want it. That's day 197. I'll see you tomorrow.